And so considering how time challenged all of us are, I know something that happens to me sometimes is I find myself so exhausted. I come to the meditation cushion so tired that I find that as soon as I settle down and relax a bit, I start drifting off. And I would bet that happens to not just me, but other people too. So I wonder, what are your thoughts about how to overcome that challenge, falling asleep while meditating?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big challenge. I want to start actually with a story from when I was in Thailand. I was probably like, I don't know, 23 or 24, really into meditation. I was staying at this monastery in Northeast Thailand. And they would do about every 7 days, they would do an all-night meditation. And I remember, going into it the first time thinking like, oh yeah, this is gonna be amazing. I want to see what my mind is like when I'm really tired. And I remember at a certain point, I was sitting cross-legged on a cushion, and I actually was like, I'm just gonna put my head down on my knee and just rest my eyes for a second, and then I fell asleep. Uh, so yeah, it's hopefully nobody faces such an extreme situation in their daily life, but it's definitely something that's challenging because often we are actually sleep deprived. We, as a culture, we tend to get too little sleep. And a lot of times when your body starts to relax, what you associate that with is actually falling asleep. So your body just naturally wants to go on into that state. And, a lot of times people will say, oh, I fell asleep. That was such a successful meditation. And what I want to say is like, that's wonderful that you were able to relax, but optimally with meditation, you want both relaxation and clarity. So if you're really having a hard time staying awake, maybe the first thing is to try and get more sleep. I mean, honestly, like maybe a nap is going to be a better idea than meditation sometimes, and that's okay. It's still self-care. The other thing you can do, because for some people, it's not just when you're sleep deprived, it's every time you start relaxing, you fall asleep. So that's when walking meditation would be great. That's when maybe doing a little bit of qigong or some other breathing exercise could be great to just wake you up a bit, and then you start. The other thing that can be really helpful if you're feeling sleepy is to do really short sessions. So 1 to 3 minutes, just set a timer. If you're going to do 10 minutes, have that timer go off every minute. Open your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Because you do want to cultivate the ability to relax your mind without falling asleep. If you can only stay awake because you're like amped, it doesn't bode well for that sense of presence that you were talking about earlier. So yeah, I think the main thing is try to figure out what works for you, because each person is different. Like one person, for me, if I am sleep deprived, I'm going to be doing a falling asleep meditation. And that can be really interesting because you can watch your mind starting to go into a dreamlike state. You can feel really relaxed. So it can be interesting. And for me, being really sleepy is not enough of a reason not to meditate. So I want to say that. But it does create challenges. But the thing is, with a meditation practice, anything that comes up is just another thing to examine in your practice. So sleepiness can be just another thing. It's hard because your mind can get really dull when you're sleepy. But if you can treat it as something else to observe, then at least you're not fighting against the sleepiness and the dullness potentially. Those are my thoughts. What about you? Have you had to power through this situation?
Right on. I mean, um, so I guess kind of in response to what you said, what I'm thinking is oftentimes what happens on the meditation mat is more, or meditation cushion, is about more than meditation. It's about our lives as a whole, and that can be very useful information. So if you find yourself very, very coming to the meditation cushion very, very tired, then that's an indicator that maybe something needs to change. And maybe it's time to think about saying no and what you would like to say no, about how to create more time for sleep for yourself, and how to find other ways of relaxing. Because if your body relaxes only when it's asleep, That also says something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's so true.
So that's one thought. Another thought is kind of know yourself and your own biology. If you're a night owl, then maybe meditating in the evening will work better for you than meditating in the morning, and the other way around. If you're somebody who has more energy in the morning, meditating at night might be extra challenging. And so incorporate your meditation practice at a time of day when you know you have an energy boost and you're going to be awake. And of course, you're always welcome to experiment with these dreamy, sleepy states that they are so beautifully described.
Yeah, I think that's such good advice, you know, not trying to fight yourself. And again, I think this comes back to this idea of like doing it right. Oh, I should be getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and doing meditation first thing. And for some people, it's just never going to work. And like you're saying, the more important aspect is to know what works for you than to try and meet some externally imposed, or maybe externally imposed, but in your mind, expectation.
Right. All the shoulds. This is how we should be doing it.
Exactly.
Choosing instead to be kind to yourself and gentle to yourself, even in making these decisions about when to meditate.
Yes, absolutely.